Ro- Ronny,
Hey.
Ronny Jhutti.
Hi Vimal, how are you doing?
I'm brilliant. Listen, firstly, congratulations on your role in the Game of Love and Chai.
Thank you.
You're one of the actors.
I am.
No messing around. What is the theatre production about? The Game of Love and Chai. Is it Chai? Chai, not Jar.
Yes.
Char's a Punjabi word.
Char's the Punjabi version, but this is very much chai.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a reworking and an updating of an old French farce, which was written by Marivaux. A lot of people have heard of Molière's farcical comedies. Marivaux was slightly before him and had written one such farce, which was the Game of Love and Chance. And essentially it's looking at different classes, and it uses the story of a possible marriage between a couple that might occur, and what they decide to do is disguise who they are as their slightly more lower status or lower class working members of their within their lives. In this case, a poorer cousin and a driver. And so by disguising themselves, they attempt to hopefully find out more about this prospective partner before they say yes.
So it's a farce and
Still very much in the tone of a farce, in the rhythm of that comedy, and it's relentless. It's very infectious. It's incredibly colourful.
You're putting pressure on yourself. I hope you realise. So is there laugh out loud moments?
There are, yes, and we've been really helped with that by our writer, really.
So come on, tell us, Nigel Planer.
The Nigel Planer from The Young Ones.
The Young Ones, come on.
From those of us who, at my stage in this particular team, who is the eldest, I can legitimately say that I could step up to Nigel and say, "Hi, Nigel. You're an absolute legend." And I remember watching you when I was a younger one.
Do you say that you remember him as Neil?
Well,
Did you ever do an impression of
Well,
him?
he's also an actor, and
Yeah.
I'm also an actor, and I thought, well, hang on, we're actually working together. So I'm sure if he had, a pound, even an old pound note, for
Yeah.
every time he heard that one,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be a very wealthy man. But to top it off, I also got to meet Aid Edmondson, who came and saw the play, and yeah. But going back to the idea of keeping it true to the farce and true to the comedy, having those gags and laughs coming are very much there and well nurtured.
Do you think there's an element of The Young Ones in that, in the sense that if you go back to The Young Ones, sorry, I know, which is a long time ago, there were some very strong characters,
Yes.
some real wild, wacky characters, some very loud, and then you had some who were really quiet, and they deadpan delivery, which was in terms of Nigel's character. Do you think there's elements of that within it? 'Cause is it a six member cast?
Yes,
that you've got?
there's six of us in the cast, and there very much are elements of that. I mean, I certainly play the driver, who has to, in a sense, upscale his status to try and play his far more upper class, well-educated boss, because they've had a role reversal. So he's pretending to be this very enigmatic and articulate and intelligent human being, when actually he's very much working class and is quite a sort of comedic rogue in himself. So there's a lot of shades in that I'm enjoying playing anyway, because I have a lot of freedom and I have a lot of breadth to explore that. Which is great.
It's been directed by Jatinder Verma, who's a legend, just in his own right, with the stuff he's done, NBA, the rest of it, and with this particular play itself, is there an Asian twist? And maybe I don't mean in terms of what I mean by the Asian twist is it's a case of, could a white person have played these characters, or is it a case of Asian people need to play these particular characters itself because they're Indian, of Indian origin, or
I mean, I think it's kind of a yes to both of those questions. So it's kind of a two-part question there. It certainly has been written in a way that it could be adaptable to various communities. I think it's obviously been given a very specific, colouring and tweaking by Jatinder in the terms that bringing in what are very clearly not only British Asian references in terms of the second generation, third generation moving on, but also this, the idea of cultural references, whether it's from Hindi cinema, the music, whether it's certain expressions that have been brought in, probably quite similar, that could be used in other ways. So it's very much been given that, so that it's entirely and utterly truthful to a British Asian context, rather than throwing in some Bollywood for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of it. Because there seems to be a lot of that at the moment, doesn't there, where it's a case of, oh, you know what, it's Bollywood, let's throw in that whole element of Bollywood, which sometimes can be a bit repetitive.
Yes. I certainly feel that in this piece, where the Hindi film references come in and other references come in, they are very much part of the characters.
Yeah.
And they are exploring being these other people through what they know, or what they perceive as might be a higher status to themselves, or in reverse, the slightly more middle class pair are trying to lower themselves, and so it looks at a lot of stereotypes and a lot of those and a lot of those archetypes that we may, and a lot of presumption. There's a lot of characteristics that are presumed of certain people within their class.
What is it like to work with Jatinder? I mean, does he give you a license to kind of put your creative element in it, or is it a case of no, wait there, this is my vision, this is how I see it, and do you refer to him as Uncle Ji?
I do.
Or Dada Ji?
I do refer to him as Jatinder Ji because I've been aware of him for as long as I've been an actor, through everything he's done, and even though I've been fortunate enough to sit in a room with him to do with other projects, this has been my first project with him. But what I love about Jatinder is that he still has this very excitable, almost childlike quality that a performer has when they're still incredibly interested and drawn into what it is they're trying to do, which could not be the case, and it could very much be that he does exactly what he believes is the way it should be done because he's done it before. But thankfully it's not just that. And for me, certainly, there's been a lot of license and room to sort of play and try things, even if it's been part of the journey, and then you come back to something that is a distilled version of everything else you've tried. It's been an absolute actor's joy, really, to be in the room and just unpack a box of tricks and then find what works and what doesn't, and for him to allow that has been wonderful.
So this is a homemade production by Sarah Arts.
Yes.
And how long is it touring for?
So in total, we would have been on the road for about 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay. And so you're here now at the Belgrade?
Yes.
You're here until, what, Saturday is it?
Yes.
And then you move on?
And then we move on to the West Yorkshire Playhouse in Leeds.
Okay. And I assume, where can they go for all the information?
All the information will be found at the Belgrade Theatre's website and Thara Theatre's website. All of those usual
Do you do any
places.
singing?
Do I do any singing? What, in the show?
Yeah.
Oh, should you not come and see it?
Do we get a little bit?
Well,
do we get a little bit?
I can rephrase. There is singing within the show.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And there's and there's a bit of dance.
And
there's lots of confusion.
why should people come and see it, apart from you being in it?
Why should people come and see it? Because it's farce isn't produced and done a lot, and I think it's a wonderful reworking of that. And if you enjoy seeing really interesting characters and a good group of people on stage, really being put through their through their paces, then it's a real keeping you on the edge of your seat kind of show in that way, and keeps you guessing.
Is this is this an Asian show, or is it open to all audiences?
Well, judging by our first audience here at the Belgrade last night, it certainly is not, only ethnically specific or pitched in that way, and it certainly hasn't been the case when we've been in Hornchurch in Essex, or up at the Lowry in Manchester, or even our 1 month run in London.
That's great. Cheers, Ronnie. Thanks for your time, mate. Enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.